All right. All right. So we're on my screen. I'm not putting my screen yet, Omar, because I want to start talking with all of you. So welcome, guys. For you, everybody that is watching, recorded or live. This is our Scopy Director meeting. My screen. I'm not putting my screen yet, Omar, because I want to start talking with all of you. All right. So welcome, guys. For you, everybody that is watching. All right. Now it's fine. I had my tab open. Um, Today we're starting with the topic theme and the day in the life of an exchange officer. And we cannot forget one of the most important exchange officers um, for Scopy, which is for both Scopy and Square, that is our director. So yeah, we have here right now Farhan and Omar. Farhan was Scopy director in the term 2013-14, and Omar was Scopy director in 14-16. Yeah, he reapplied. He got two terms. Um, so yeah, guys, you can unmute yourselves. Basically, the idea is that we're gonna start a talk, a chat, and we're gonna talk about our experiences during our term, our struggles, our successes, um, our funniest moment, and so on. Okay? So Farhan, I invite you to come and talk with us. Ah, by the way, and David and Pablo are going to join us probably later. We're really looking forward for them to join. So yeah, Farhan.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Rodrigo. And well, good evening all from my country, from the place that where I live. It's 9 p.m. right now here. So I'm just gonna start. So my name is Farhan, and right now I'm in my last clinical year. So hopefully I'm gonna be a doctor soon, probably in 5 or 6 months. And I was the Scopy director 2013-14, and before I was actually regional assistant for Asia Pacific. And here I would like to just sharing some stories with you all. And I hope that these stories could be beneficial for you, could be some kind of motivation for you to probably, if you want to apply to for the international position, whether it's regional assistant or Scopy director or I don't know any other positions that probably you already aim for. I'm gonna start with my history in IFMSA and Scopy. So I was just, I was just a member, and then in my LC I was um, introduced for with all the 6 standing committees, and I was really interested by that time with Scopy because it was something that has to do with professional exchange, and there were like research sections of course, but I don't really like research, so that's why by that time I prefer to join Scopy because and there were a lot of incomings coming in my LC, and then I got to meet them, so it was kind of motivation for me to actually join Scopy by that time. And then I applied to be the Leo in my LC, and I got chosen. And then for those 1 year, I was the Leo for outgoing and incoming. So I took care of all the incomings and all the outgoings that come into my LC. And it was a really, really, I think, an experience that I couldn't forget for my entire life. And then I went to my first GA in India. So in India, where I met a lot of great people that actually right now in IFMSA itself, they're becoming like the people that the leaders, and especially like one of them is here. His name is Omar, and he's from Morocco, and he was the first person that I contacted by that time when I was the Neo. So I was the Neo of so I was a Leo, and then I applied to be the Neo of Indonesia, and then by that time I was really, a beginner. I didn't know anything about Scopy. I didn't know about GA. I was so like my knowledge about FMAC was so empty by that time. And then Marianne by that time was the Scopy director when I was the Neo. So she opened, and this is also one of the funniest moment in my life before I became a Scopy D. So by that time, Marianne opened an open recruitment for minutes taker in August meeting India in Skopje sessions. And I really wanted to contribute something as a neo because I think that it was a great opportunity for me. I could meet a lot of people, so I applied to be the minutes taker. And then Marian said to me by that time, could you find another two people to apply out as well to be minutes taker in Skopje sessions? And I was like, yeah, of course. So by that time, because I was the neo, I was contacting many people, and one that really I knew like better than other people was Omar, and he was the neo from Morocco by that time. So I told him like, hey Omar, how are you doing? My name is Farhan, I'm from Indonesia, and do you come to the GA in India? And he was saying to me, yes, I will come to India. And then I said to him that, okay, so right now I'm applying to be a minutes taker in Skopje session. And Marian said to me that she needs another two people to apply. Would you be able to probably apply yourself as well as a minute taker? And by that time, he asked me, like, what is the job of minute taker? Like, what is minute taker? And I was like saying to him, yeah, I think it's just, like it's a pretty easy job. You just keep looking at the time, and you just like counting the minutes. So by that time, both of us didn't know anything about what minutes taker meant. I didn't know by that time like minutes taking means like you actually taking minutes, you're actually taking notes of what's been discussed in the session. So we applied to be minutes taker, and then when we were in India, we went to our first Skopje session. And we told Marianne that, hey Marianne, I'm Farhan, and this is Omar, and there was another one, she was built, and by that time she was the neo from Lithuania. And then the three of us will be the minutes taker for this Skopje session. And then I was really waiting for, I don't know, maybe a watch or a clock or instruction from Marianne to give me to actually watching the minutes, like literally minutes of time. But no, it was not like that. And then she gave me a form, and the three of us, she gave us a form of the minutes taking. And I was like, I'm sorry, but what is this? Yeah, this is like the format of the minutes taking with this conversation. And I was really shocked. And oh my God, so this is minutes taking. My English was really bad, I think, by that time. I couldn't really listen to people like fluently. I couldn't really, and there were so many times that time, the two of us, that we were like complaining, like could they like speak slowly, because we really couldn't hear what they were saying by that time. But I think by that experience, it was really interesting for us, and that was something that like motivate me to actually achieve more in FMSA and also in Skopje. And then afterward in India, we had a meeting in Chile. So by that time I was a neo, and then I applied to be the regional assistant for Asia Pacific. And then we had the meeting in Chile. It was really, really, I mean, like from my country, it's really far away and it's really expensive to go there. But I really had this desire to, to really achieve more in Skopje, to contribute more. And then I applied to be the Skopje director. And by that time, I didn't think I could go to Chile, but finally I made it there. And then I got chosen to be a Skopje director. So one thing, I think one message that I could give to you, like no matter how crazy your dream is, please do not stop dreaming. Because I was really a member, I didn't even know what minutes taker means, but you just gotta have the passion and commitment to really achieve what you want to achieve in life. And some of the greatest achievements that I had in my term, like I had an amazing team by that time. I had 5 regional assistants from each continent, and I could name them all. Like in Asia Pacific, I got Rizky, and he was from Indonesia. And then from Europe, there were 2 regional assistants by the time. It was Giacomo from Italy and Nikos from Greece. And then from Africa, I got Kwabena, and he was from Ghana. And then from Americas, this one special lady named Whitney, Whitney Cordoba, and she was from Colombia. And then last one from Myanmar, and he was a really cool guy, but he slept a lot during the GA. Even like when Scopy session start, he's still sleeping, and he didn't want me to forget him. And his name is Anthony, Anthony Ballin, and he's from
Lebanon.
Lebanon, exactly. Sorry, I was thinking Jordan, but I know like no, it's not Jordan. It's another country. He's from Lebanon. So and then by that time I got also capacity building assistant. There were two of them, Shafa and Mladen, and they were from Serbia and from Tunisia. And then so we working as a team by that time for the countries that want to apply for Scopy, and by my time there were 6 countries joining Scopy as Scopy Active. And then by that time as well, we made communication guidelines that Rodrigo said and Omar said is still used until now, which is, I'm really happy. And then by the time as well, we took initiative to actually change the look of Scopy regulations, because by that time it was still Scopy bylaw when I was Scopy. And then in our team of official meetings, we talk about it a lot, and then we change it to Scopy regulations. And then SRT. So when I was in my office, when I was still office in Scopy director, SRT was still exclusive for Standing Committee on Professional Exchange and Research Exchange. But then we changed it to a more like common and general regional training. So the sub-regional training was changed like only for, not only, I mean like it's for all the trainings that we have in IFMSA, not only for Scopy and SCORY. So we took the initiative to change the name to PRET, so the Professional and Research Exchange Training. And I think it was established in Omar's term. And then by the time as well, we made new changes to the contract form, which Omar said to me that actually he changed it as well again in his term. And then like there were like a lot of great achievement as well. And then like the relationship between Scopy and SCORY was even better by that time. Like we were making things together. We were having projects together with my fellow research exchange director by that time, and her name is Sarah, and she's from Portugal. And then so I think like even like there were a lot of things as well that we do, not just as a Scopy director, but also as a team with the other officials. And it was really fun and exciting, and I think that there were a lot of things that we achieved by that time as a team as well. And then it was actually the term that we had IFMSA reform. So the Big Four, if probably some of you know about it, it was started by that time and then like continued by the next terms. And the biggest struggle that I had when I was a Scopy director was actually, I'm not sure whether it's still a problem right now, because I think it's kind of an issue that keeps happening in every term. For example, like unresponsive animals or NEOs, and sometimes even our international team, because probably we have a really lot of things to do, and then we just couldn't reply emails, and then like people just got disappear for quite a while, for a long time, until they come back again and everything already changed. But I think it was a really struggle that keeps that keeps you becoming a burden to really think about that. Like you have a lot of problems with two NMOs, for example, and then you have to be the one that solve this problem, but like the other not really responsive, or they don't really cooperate. And there are a lot of things that you want actually to do to the NMOs. Like you want really to, as a Scopy director and your international team, you really want to do so much for the NMOs, but then they don't really reply. For example, just a small example is like standing survey, and we really hope that all the NMOs in IFMSA, especially like the Scopy active NMOs, will fill that kind of survey, but then they don't do it. Like even we just got answers from, I don't know, 1/3 or 1/4 of the NMOs. So I think that's a struggle, that like one of the struggles that I had. But the others is just like, you know, personal. From my personal experience, it's only like, you know, because I didn't took a gap year when I was Scopy director. So I was an intern in my hospital, but I was also a Scopy director, and there were a lot of meetings to attend, like the twice, like 2 GAs in 1 year, and then like 4 TOMs, and then the other probably external meetings they have, and then you have to keep going with it, but you also have to, you know, keep your life as a student in the hospital. So I think it was also a struggle for me, but it was not really that big, because usually I took like time off from one rotation, so I could go to a meeting, and then I will repeat that rotation in the end of my internship cycle. And then something that I would not forget is actually all the people that I know, and still, and all of them like still friends with me until now, and I think it will really continue until we're becoming doctors, and I don't know, maybe they're becoming like director of WHO or WMA, and who knows, it could happen to anyone. So there is really something that I could not forget from being an official specialist copy director. And one of the advantages being a copy director, that you are really active, communicating with a lot of people from every country, like with the NEOs, with the exchange themselves, with LEOs, and everyone. Is just like you keep emailing them every day, and then you will wake up with 40 emails in your inbox, and if you do not reply, it will reproduce even more tomorrow. So you gotta reply like as soon as possible. So, and then like, yeah, I think that is something that I could not forget during my term as a copy director. And then what Scopy taught me is database is really complicated. So you gotta keep it like your baby, and you gotta keep it, you know, like you gotta like learn it, and you gotta also use it wisely, because database was a disaster back then. Not really a disaster, I mean, like it was changing every term, it was changing back then. So before we have an established database right now in our ifmsa.org, it was before in ifmsa.net, and it was changed. And I really remember by that time, when I was still regional assistant, and then when I became a copy director, like we had to migrate all the data from ifmsa like manually. So can you imagine, you have to contact one by one all the NEOs in the world to like move all the data from ifmsa like manually, all of your data about your incomings, your outgoings, all of the numbers and everything that's happening. And I'm sure it was even more like a struggle for the next terms, especially in Omar's term. So, but I think those kind of things, not like the bad things, because they really taught me about, you know, like patience, and they really taught me about like how to communicate like well with other people to really achieve what you want to achieve in your life. And I think like this is like a really like big family that you have in the world. So you can call everywhere your home, because after my term as copy director, and then like when I was a regional director as well, I applied like last year. I was traveling around Europe, and I could contact, like I didn't really imagine about that before, but I could contact like only one phone away, like one text away, like my friend in Germany, or my friend in Netherlands, or my friends in France, or even when I went to South America or America. So it was really a really good thing to have this kind of family in the world. And I think Skopje is something that I will not ever forget in my life. It was the place, and it was a home that I started all of this until I can become what I'm right now here. And I think, yeah, so basically, like, those are the things, like the highlights that I had during my term. I could tell you everything that's happening, but it will really take years because there were a lot of things happening. So I think, yeah, thank you so much for listening. And I'm not sure if we have questions or answers, but if you want to ask, you can also ask me privately, or I will give it like to Rodrigo to moderate this discussion. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Farhan. Um, so yeah, we have Pablo. Pablo arrived. Maybe, are you there, Pablo?
Yes, I'm here.
Omar, are you okay if we continue with Pablo and then?
Yeah, of course. Makes sense. Makes sense. Hi, Pablo.
Hi.
Oh, Pablo, finally nice to meet you.
Yes.
We haven't talked before. This is the first time that actually we're talking. So maybe you can start talking a bit about the story, your story in FMSA in Skopje.
So I became ScoPD on 2010. It was back the GA in Montreal. Before that, I was NEO for, I think, 2 years. And in one of the terms when I was NEO, I was the regional assistant of the Americas. And that year, when I was regional assistant, the ScoPy director quit his job in the middle of the term. So we had to create somehow a task force within all the other regional assistants, and we had to put ourselves, the GA, in Montreal. And also that year was the first year that we had the LORMA, that I think it doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yes.
So we helped each other to put that GA together, and during that GA I became ScoPy director. It was a really nice and intense year because also in that time I was doing a long exchange, not for ScoPy in Sweden, so also helped me a lot to travel and go to, well, both of the GAs and also attend most of the regional meetings back then. It was a really nice year. We accomplished a lot. It was the beginning of when we wanted to change the database, that if I'm not mistaken, I think you already changed it. So during that time, we had the first discussions with one of the companies that we were planning to make the database. But basically all the changes that I just got here, but I heard Farhan saying that we keep making changes in the old database. We were part of that in that time, that we had to change things every year or every 6 months to try to make it better from the mess that it was. But in that time, we were planning to change it. So I think if you accomplish that, that's a big thing. And what else? Well, then I became LORMA for the next term. And also I had to take over part of the job of the SCORI director because also she quit at that time. So somehow I was exchange director for both, for exchanges, professional and research. So that's basically my story.
Quite a messy story. I'm sorry, Pablo.
Yeah.
By the way, you were saying regarding the database, yeah, we changed it, but we changed it twice. So we changed the company twice, just saying. But yeah, it seems like the story just keeps repeating, so that's quite funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll leave it to you, Rodrigo.
Still with you, Pablo. Pablo, do you have any funny moment despite all these tragedies that you had? Do you have any funny moment within Skopje that you could share with us?
Oh, let me think. I think we have a lot of funny moments, but oh, what could it be? Well, one funny thing that I always remember, and most of the people that I was working back then in IFMSA, is that the people from Asia Pacific, because I could attend the regional meeting and I was really close to them, and also we had one of the GAs in Thailand and Indonesia. They couldn't say my name right, never. They couldn't get it. So for them, instead of being Pablo, I was Plavo. And always when they write me emails or stuff, I was present as Plavo. And when they introduced myself to their meetings, I was Plavo. And I never told them like, oh, you're mistaken. But so for most of the people that we worked together back then, the regional assistants or anyone, they were always laughing about, oh, you're Plavo, Plavo, Plavo. And they still call me Plavo. Sometimes when we chat by WhatsApp with some of my friends from Canada or Europe, Plavo, how are you? So that's a funny thing that I can remember right now.
Yeah, that's great. Other question that we have here is also you mentioned about your story in the international work that you became Scopy director after all this trouble in Montreal, after this task force that you also occupied the position of Lorma. But how about before that? How was your story like at the beginning in Scopy?
So I was, first of all, I was Leo for almost a year at my local university. Basically, I joined Scopy because I always liked the idea of making exchanges. I was fortunate to make an exchange when I was a high school student, so I always was amazed by travel and doing stuff abroad. And I joined to make the social programs back then. And then, to be honest, the exchange program here in Chile was really small. We had just around like 30 or 40 exchange students per year. And when I became NEO, the first term here in Chile, I decided to increase it. So one of the GAs, my second GA, I was in Macedonia in 2009. And I just started to sign contracts with all of the countries. Somehow we had almost 140, I think, contracts signed. And then I had to come back to Chile and organize all this because we were used to have just 30, 40 exchange students per year. So when I come back, because for that GA was just me, I was the whole delegation. I came back to Chile and say, we have 140 people that we need to take care of. So we increased the exchange program. We signed contract with most of the universities here. So we did a great job locally to improve our exchange program in Chile. And then after that, I started to join more international activities, of course, going to the GAs and the regional meetings. And somehow I got in charge of the magazine of the Scopy. I forgot the name. Periscopy. So with that, I got more involved with the international people, and then I became a Scopy director. So that's basically the story, and I had the experience of improving the exchange program locally. Then I got the chance to meet with the other NEOs from the region, and that's how I became more international related.
Oh, that's really good. That's quite a lot of story in Scopy. The last thing would be, what did Scopy taught you? What did Scopy teach you?
I think also I heard part of what Farhan said. Basically, is to be organized because you got emails all the time. You have to reply as soon as possible. Also, taught me about intercultural, to be more intercultural, to work in an intercultural environment, because you need to deal with the regional assistants, of course, with the students. Sometimes in your email, even you got emails from students that want to make an exchange. Also, I got the chance to travel a lot, so I could be around with different people. I was able to make, to attend most of the regional meetings by the time, and also to go to some international events at the WHO, for example, and also to work with some international medical associations when I was Lorma, but I couldn't be Lorma if I wouldn't be Scopy director. So taught me how to deal in an international environment and how to be organized. Things that somehow has helped me in my career right now, because I'm working more in public health. So was a really nice school to go through, and also helped me to deal with the university, because med school sometimes could be a little bit boring, and this was like an escape somehow.
All right. Thank you very much, Pablo. Just for like as a point of information, you were really the first Scopy director from the Americas region, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Which
And I
makes me the
think,
second.
yeah, and I think that was good, because I was the first from Americas, and then after that, then it was all of you that you were not from Europe, because before us, all of the Scopy directors mostly came from Europe. We had one, I think two, yeah, the guy before me was from Turkey, the one that resigned, and that also counts as Europe somehow. And before that, it was from Lebanon, and basically was like Europe, Lebanon, Turkey. Those was like Scopy D, and then we started to turn over, and we had all of you guys.
Yes, and then we came everybody. But actually, the one that followed you up was Marianne. She was from Europe also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was really nice regional assistant, and I think she did a really great job as a Scopy D. I could saw her job because I was Lorma, so I was still in IFMSA while she wasn't a Scopy director.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Pablo. Omar, Farhan, do you still have any questions? Do you have any questions for Pablo or any comment?
Not really, but yeah, it's quite funny. I mean, it is true what he said, that right after him, we started doing a turnover throughout all the regions. And so after him, it was Europe, then it was Africa, then it was Asia Pacific, then it was EMR, then again we have Americas with you. So it's really cool how it's like turning around.
Okay. Farhan?
I was
You
gonna
want-
say the same thing, so it's okay. I'm good.
Okay. So thank you very much, Pablo. And then we go to Omar, as David is still not here. Omar is the most recent before me, but at the same time, he was the one for 2 terms in a row. So he has a lot of story to tell us. So you can start, Omar.
Well, actually, I think a part of it was already mentioned by Farhan. So thank you for saving me some time. Yeah, my story basically started in 2011, 2012, when with some friends. So I went to do a clerkship in France, in Toulouse. And back at the time, I didn't know anything about IFMC. I didn't know anything about Scopy. And I met some IFMC people there and some Scopy people there. And so together with some friends, we decided to join IFMC, because that's when we knew about IFMC. And so we decided to join IFMC to like create these opportunities for medical students from Morocco. So in 2012, with some friends, we founded IFMC Morocco, which was later on we went to India to apply as a new member of IFMC for Morocco, because before that Morocco was not part of IFMC. And that's also when I started working. So I was the NEO back then, and that's when I started working on founding Scopy in Morocco. So yeah, that's also when I met with Farhan. As I was like founding Scopy in Morocco, I was getting in touch with all the people from all different countries to try to convince them to sign contracts and stuff. And it was quite hard because it was like the first year. So we still had a lot of things to prove to others. So I remember like discussing a lot with Farhan and trying to exchange some tips and some advices and recommendations. And that's when the funny story about Militstaker happened. So yay to that. So yeah, so I attended India GA in 2012, and then I attended all the GAs after that up until now. Yeah, Skopje, Morocco went really big right after that. In the first year in India, I remember signing about 70 contracts, bilateral contracts. So it went really big from the start. And then now it's even bigger and bigger. So I'm really proud of what the Moroccans are currently doing with the exchange program. It's becoming one of the most important ones in the region. So I'm really proud of the work that they have been doing and continuing since after my term. And yeah, so after India, I decided, so Marianne was the Skopje director back then, and then she finished her term in September. And then in October, David started his term. David is from Ghana. So I decided back then to apply for the Skopje international team. So Farhan was the regional assistant for Asia Pacific, and I was then the database assistant. So my work was to basically take care of all the database issues and to kind of develop our website, take care of the management of the website and database and everything. It was a very, very, very rough year because like October was when we decided to move on from ifmc.net to the old ifmc.org. So it was like really, really messy. The database was not working for over 2 to 3 months. It was like completely not working. People, neos were still continuing using both ifmc.net and ifmc.org. It was so messy and we had so many issues. But I took care of that, and I was in touch with the company back then that was in Barcelona, who was managing our database issues. And eventually, it went quite okay at the end. And then in 1 year after, in Chile, in the August meeting 2013, I decided that I wanted to continue working on that to make sure that the database is sustainable and to make sure to just follow up on my work. So that's when I decided to apply for New Technologies Director. This position doesn't exist in IFMC anymore, but whatever. So I decided to apply for New Technologies Director. And that's when I continued working on all the database issues on the website and everything. So it was during the term when Farhan was Skopje director. And then in August meeting 2014 in Taiwan, I decided to apply for Skopje director. And yeah, and then I had 1 year, and then I decided again to apply in Macedonia. So I had 2 terms, 2 years in total. And it was really great because actually like having 2 years, like many people say 1 year is a lot, but also many people say 1 year is actually not enough to work on everything that you would like to achieve. So for me, yes, it was a lot, but like a lot of work. Really was great in making, well, in allowing me to actually achieve all the things that I wanted to achieve and to actually make them sustainable. Because it takes you first few months to actually understand the position really how it is and get used to it, and then it takes you a few more months to actually figure out what the position really needs and how you can actually improve it. And by the time you realize that, your term is over. So for me, it was really great to actually reapply, so as to allow me to continue working on the things that I started. So luckily, we had really a lot of achievements. And this is not just to brag about it, but I'm really proud of all the things that we managed together with both Skopje international teams, but also with some neos. And I think like what I would recall as really the biggest achievement that we had was the adoption, well, the development and the adoption of the new strategy 2016-2019 that Rodrigo will be talking about later on. I think that's really, really what was really great in the sense that we were literally writing how we want Skopje to develop in the future years, and how we see the future of Skopje in like 3 upcoming years, making it therefore more sustainable. Some other achievements that I can recall is the development of the Training New Exchange Trainers workshop, because we believe that in Skopje we do a lot of great things, but we lacked capacity to actually do it, and some NEOs lacked skills and competencies to actually do it. So we decided to build the capacity of our NEOs, and we decided therefore to create the workshop, Training New Exchange Trainers. So I remember it was really funny because it was Luisa, back then she was SCORI director, and I remember we were in Egypt in a sub-regional training, and we were just sitting next to the pool, and we were like just discussing about the issues that we were having both in Skopje and SCORI, and that's how like the idea of creating a workshop to build the capacity came up. And that's how Luisa and me then started working on that. And then we created a small working group. Then some other people joined, including Mauro, Besma, Maud, and stuff. And then that's how we created the workshop. And now I'm really happy also to see that this, like everyone is getting very excited every year regarding the TNET attending the workshop. In my term, we also had achieved 100 NMO Skopje active, so yay to that number. Not that the number actually matters a lot, but the quality matters even more. So that's why also in my term, what we did was actually made the process to get Skopje active even more complicated than before, because basically before we could just say, hey, I want to be active, here are my exchange conditions, and literally that's it. So now we made it a bit more complicated, but actually a bit more sustainable, and it allowed us to actually control who is getting Skopje active, like which countries are becoming Skopje active. So I won't go through the details about how to get Skopje active. I'm sure now all of you at least know, at least you have them in the Skopje regulations, but it's definitely more sustainable. Well, there are many other achievements, such as endorsements by the World Federation of Medical Education that was first achieved in Farhan's term. Then we followed up on that. Then we had some other endorsements from other organizations. Not to forget that also in my term, we built up a new database because we had issues with the previous one, and it was not sustainable to continue with the company that we had. And now it's becoming like the situation is definitely better than what it was in the past. And I know like many years are still struggling now with the database, with some database issues, but believe me, I've been there before, and Farhan and Pablo also was even before in ifmc.net, and I can assure you that the issues that we had in the past are way, way, way worse than the ones that we're having now. And I can see the difference, and I can see that this situation is definitely better. But it definitely can be improved even more, and so that's why we're working on that to make it better. I'm not sure whether there is anything else that you would like me to mention, but just yeah, like now I graduated in October as general practitioner in Morocco. And because 4 years in IFMC were not enough, I decided to run for IFMC president. So now I'm IFMC president, and I'm finishing my term in September. And after that, unfortunately, IFMC will be over for me because I will need to move on with my own life. Yeah, to that. But yeah, IFMC brought me a lot. It definitely made me a better doctor. It definitely helped me to develop many competencies, many skills. And as you can see, before 2012, IFMC, like Morocco was not even member of IFMC. We did not even know about IFMC before that. So we really, really started from the very beginning by together with my colleagues by founding and starting IFMC in Morocco, then we just knew what we wanted, and we just wanted to help basically IFMC being better, and we just wanted to like support the work that the federation actually does. So as you can see, I mean, of course, in 2012, when I didn't even know what minutes taker was, and when my English was actually really bad, of course, I did not imagine at any point of time that I will be Scopy director at some point, or that I will even be IFMC president. So for sure, just like Farhan said, never stop believing, never stop dreaming, but don't only dream about it, you really actually have to work hard for it. So if you feel like you have the capacities to help, or even if you don't, if you just have the motivation to actually do it, and the willingness to actually do it, just get in touch with Rodrigo, see how you can help with the work of the Scopy International team. Maybe you can coordinate a small working group or whatever. Just see how you can actually support the work, be more engaged, be more committed, and you will do it. So that is it from my side. If you have questions, please let me know, and I'll hand it over now to Rodrigo.
All right, Omar. Thank you very much for your words. The only thing that is missing actually is what did Scopy taught you? Like in short.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's why I mentioned just in general that like all the competencies and all the skills that I managed to have throughout all the meetings. It is to mention that like since I started IFMC, it has always been only Scopy, sometimes Corey and capacity building. So like the person I am now is definitely thanks to Scopy, because that's the committee that I worked with since the start of my journey. So yeah, I think mainly that, which is actually already very big.
Yeah, so thank you. Have any comments, Pablo, Farhan, so far?
No.
Okay, thanks. There are some messages that we received in the chat. For Farhan, every day brings a new problem you haven't heard of. Every day you experience something new. How do you deal with it, Farhan? This is a question for you. Farhan is frozen.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So every day brings a new problem you haven't heard of. Every day you experience something new. How do you deal with it? So the first time that I do whenever I receive a new problem or something new that I didn't expect, I was complaining to myself, only to myself. So I was complaining to myself, and I was just, like letting it all out. And then after it's good for me, then I bring this new issue or problem to my international team. And then some of them that will, try to work directly with the new problem that I have, because most of the problems that I had during my term, if it's a new problem, then it should be with related to NMOs. So whether it's a missing Neo or a bad exchangee, which mean like they don't really follow the rules. They just for example, like in one country they made some problem, or they had a problem that should be solved. Like sometimes I had problems with one of the NMOs that it was even like some problem that could go with a legal law, and it was really big. It was like a huge issue. So I will bring these problems to my NMOs, to my international team, for the people that will deal directly with the NEOs of those NMOs and with the exchangee. And then I will just supervise and follow up with them what's gonna happen. And sometimes there were also some two NEOs, or probably like even more, that have problem with another one. Like by email and by meetings, we will have an online meeting, or by emails. We will like kind of solve the problems. And sometimes even if I cannot deal with myself and I don't have any power as a Scopy director, I will bring this problem to my official. And they will give me some solutions, and they will give me some recommendations of what I had to do by that time. But then like, so basically like, but then I like, you know, like it was a problem for you, but you don't really have to make it like a burden or stress yourself out, because after all, everything has to keep moving. So you gotta like really think with a cool head. Although like sometimes I cannot think with a cool head, because it was like a huge issue or problems that, like for example, like I wake up every day, I got like 40 emails or something, and it's already an issue because you have to reply them all and you have to deal with them all. But then I think, yeah, I survived, and it was a lot of experience. It was a lot of meaningful experience and knowledge that I got from those issues. So,
All right.
and yep, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Farhan. I'm just gonna briefly like also mention a bit of my story, because I don't want to be outsider. After all, I'm also one of these copy directors here. So yeah, I started my work in FMSA in Scopy in 2012 when I actually started my med school. At first, I wasn't a Scopy on professional exchanges member. I was a SCOF member. I was working in public health. I still remember my first SCOF campaign in World Kidney Day, which I was like the coordinator, and I was really excited about it. I was in the end doing a lot of campaigns within FMSA, um, but I didn't know that it will give me like a lot of points to travel, and that was when I applied for my first exchange. That was for Poland, and you can imagine a Brazilian in Poland. I had quite a lot of fun. It was actually not a Scopy exchange yet; it was a Scori exchange. I had a lot of issues regarding the academic quality of my exchange that I'm not going to go into details. But the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen was the work as a contact person, the work as a Leo. My Leo was incredible. Dagmara, I cannot say her second name, last name, but yeah, Dagmara, she really inspired me a lot to keep working on FMSA. And then when I came back, I started working like very, very much in Scopy. I applied for a new assistant. Then I was elected NEO for FMSA Brazil. I attended my first GA that was in Turkey. It was definitely one of my greatest experiences in FMSA so far. I started working. I thought that Macedonia was my last GA, but then I luckily was selected and appointed to be the regional assistant for Americas. I worked for a year as international team of Omar. Actually, one funny thing is that I've never seen any other Scopy sessions other than with Omar. So Omar was the only Scopy director that I've seen in 2 terms of Scopy. Um, so yeah, that was quite exciting. During my term as regional assistant for the Americas, I worked also in the development of the strategy that Omar mentioned. And then elected in Mexico as Scopy director, now I'm working on the initial implementation of the Scopy strategy. We already mentioned a lot of things here. We could see problems from 2010 that Pablo mentioned, from lack of handover, struggle with the Scopy director that quitted and stuff. We noticed that a lot of these issues, like database issues, for example, repeat themselves like all the time. Are issues that we live in a vicious cycle. At the end, that's why it's so important for us to make sure that these mistakes will never happen again, and that we can work in line of our goals and actually achieve everything that we want for our standing committee, all the dreams, all the goals that we actually did. So that's why during Omar's last term, and we developed the strategy, and now during my term we're doing the initial implementation of the strategy, which I'm really happy so far, especially because I'm working basically on my own way. After all, I just take all this Omar thing. I could actually do what like the Brazilian way of working. My international team is really amazing. We've been working in a really great environment. We've been trying to be as much approachable as possible with the neos. Not only like in the personal contact, but also facing each other. We're here doing an online meeting tonight because we're here for you. We want to hear for you, like ask you, answer to your questions, like everything. You know where to find us. Um, if I could say like any greatest achievement so far, well, my term I still have 5 months there, so I'm still not sure what the greatest achievement I've done, but I really expect that at least we had fun. But like the funny thing on the side, we've also been doing like a great follow up on the work from last year. In terms of external representation, we've been trying to achieve the endorsements with the checklists and so on. So yeah, the biggest struggle, as Farhan mentioned about the unresponsive animals, this is always an issue, especially now when you have 101 animals active in Scopy. Um, and we're also working to activate more, especially within the African region. Um, yeah, one lucky thing that I have is that my international team is everybody really active. You could see through the exchanges week that all the regional assistants, both from Scopy and Square, they were there doing their webinars. They are active and they're more than excited for everything. Yeah, and well, another biggest struggle is definitely the database. But luckily, I also have the support from the executive board, the support of Omar, that is already like for already 4 years working with the database. So yeah, this is one of my luckies also. It's very important to remember that, at least for me, as a Scopy director, I took a gap semester to work for it, and for the March meeting preparations, the most like the happiest thing I've ever happened to me was that when I realized that I actually sent 1,000 emails during the March meeting preparations, and I received 2,000. I was like, wow, this is quite a lot of emails within a month to receive and to reply. But at the same time, this overload of work gives you a lot of breakdowns. So I imagine sometimes that I'm having like a breakdown for a day. It's like you're definitely killing a lion for a day, and it's really hard, especially when you're traveling around. Like I've been traveling for such a long time already. I've been 4 months traveling. I've attended so far all the regional meetings, but Eurigme, I didn't go to Eurigme, and the March meetings in Toms, and they have been like really exciting. Um, yeah, that's it so far. About the funniest moment, I would say that the March, I still have 5 months to go, right, as I mentioned. But if I could recall anything from the March meeting, is that my story about the scope it that I mentioned, and then everybody was saying scope it every time, which is, I think it was like the funniest moment of my term, because I didn't expect like a story of a neo of IFMSA Brazil for a couple of years ago will start um, like a chain of, yeah, like a chain of reaction from news all over the world, and it's very fun. um yeah, that was like the funniest moment. I think that mainly that's it from my side. And just to finalize, what Scopy taught me was, you could notice that from every other Scopy directors, they would mentioning more about organization and so on. I wouldn't put like the organization, but yeah, it was definitely one thing. But Scopy, after all, taught me that planet Earth is really small. Um, you can't imagine, but while you're walking in the streets of Burkina Faso, you will definitely like, don't think it's weird if you find somebody that you knew before in some day. So the network that IFMSA and Scopy provides you, it's huge, it's enormous. So I think this is one of the things that I've learned. especially now that I cannot do anything like public, especially because you know somebody in the end, so you get like a bad image for yourself. So yeah, mainly that's it from my side. I think that I said anything that I wanted to. Let me just check like the message that we received. We also have for Omar, I guess. All great ideas were found next to a pool from Ama. There's a question here from Sartak, the array from Asia Pacific. He asks, how does it feel in the next day you can't log in your Scopy ID and you don't have any new emails? And Scopy Dream, the one day was over for you. For that, I'm still not there. I'm really sad that this is actually coming to an end, but like at some point it will have to come, and I will need to let it go. This is very important for the sustainability of the federation, for the sustainability of our standing committee. So at least for me, I will be more than proud to give my handover to my successor, and I will be all the time available to everything that they might want, they might need, anything. So I leave the question out for you guys. Maybe Omar, you can start.
Well, same for me. I'm still not there yet. As IFMC president, I'm still in IFMC. I still have emails and stuff, so it's not weird for me yet. But I think Farhan and Pablo can relate to that even more.
So Farhan?
Well, okay, thank you for the question. Well, it was a new life when you cannot log into your Scopd and then you don't have any new emails the next day. I was there, so you just woke up and then you don't have to check your emails because you already have a successor that will do your job. I mean, they will do the job. I don't know. It was kind of sad and happy at the same time. I was sad because I was not a Scopy director anymore because it was a lot of fun and excitement happening. But then I was happy as well that I can try to chase what I want to do in my life and to do all the new hobbies or to do all the things that I couldn't do when I was Scopy director because it was really consuming your time with a lot of online or offline meetings and all of the emails and issues and that stuff, and then the next day everything was just going quiet. Yeah, I think it's like a mixed feelings, but just like Omar said, life has to move on and he's gonna chase his life soon. So yeah, I think that's it for me.
Thanks, Farhan. Pablo, how about you?
Well, it has happened quite a few years after that, but as long as I remember, also it was somehow happiness because you didn't have to check your email all the time, but at the same time, as you are into this kind of machine that you are just getting emails and you have to be available all the time, you are used to it. So when it happens, you feel relief. At the same time, you feel a little bit sad because you say, oh, what I'm going to do next? But as you also have said, the life has to move on. But also now, as I see it, when you are working outside of when you are out of med school, most of the works that you do also consume a lot of your time, and most of the things are doing online. Even though you're being a clinician or I work in public health, you get a lot of emails. So I think the idea of being available all the time is a training that you will get for your future life. But I think it was a relief at that moment because you don't have to check your emails. You can be free somehow, but you feel sad because you're leaving a big part of what was your life for the past year or 2 years, or for Omar 4 years. So I think it's something that you need to do, and it's a good thing that also when you started it, you feel really happy, but also you will feel really, I think, happier when you finished.
All right. Thank you very much, Pablo. We still have one more question that is like, it's not a question, it's more like a comment. Can someone be Scopy director and still studying properly in college? Because working as Neo needs a lot of time and efforts, as I observe. So what about Scopy director? I will start answering first. Like for me, it was actually a recommendation. Omar told me, Rodrigo, it's a lot of things. You should take a gap semester and stuff. Uh, but I think that personally it's very feasible doing it at the same time at school, especially because you can organize yourself. You can prepare a routine. In my case, traveling and being a Scopy director, and it hasn't been like like the most intelligent idea I've ever done. Because while traveling, you have like places that you don't have good internet connection, so you suffer a lot. And Neos complain about you're taking too long to reply, and that's really really bad. So yeah, so for you to have an idea, like I have 4 months, and I haven't been more than 1 month in one place, so it's really complicated. Do you want to say anything? Farhan was the one that like continue working at the same time as a Scopy director.
Yes. So I didn't take a gap year when I was a Scopy director. I was still in college. I was not in the hospital because life is in hospital was like it's more flexible actually than life in the university. Um, by that time, I was actually like this is also one of the moments that I had when I was copy director. Like by that time, I was in the middle of my thesis, so I had to graduate and I had to present my thesis in April, and then but because I was a copy director, so I had to go to Tunisia in March meeting, and then my teacher told me that because it was like it took me so long to finish my thesis and she wanted to back off as my supervisor, and she just wanted to end because I didn't actually care about my thesis, which actually I really really did. I did like my best to like finish my thesis by that time, because since December you were already busy preparing for March meeting, even though it happens like in another like the next 3 months, but you were already like burdened with all of the things that you have to prepare for March meeting. So it was really like I think it was the time in my official when I was really down, like, and then I can convince her by that time, and then when I got home, like I chased them all until like finally I graduated in April. So the thing is, like, I know that when you want to become something, you have to take all the risk that comes with it, because you just cannot take all the fun and then you just live the risk, because I think it's one package. So you really have to think carefully about that. But I didn't say that it was like a really tough time for me to properly uh, study and being a Scopy director at the same time, because I don't know. And then I graduated on time. I got, well, I think like the GPA that I got at the end of my college was kind of satisfied. I mean, like I could go to universities with that GPA. And I think it all comes from your individual self. Like you just have to have the passion and commitment to study and, like to also do your work as an official at the same time. So, and then of course you just need to take time off. And what I really love from FMSC is that you can just tell your officials that probably I need 3 days not looking at emails or anything. I just want like the time for myself. Probably you want to refresh like somewhere else, or you just want to go to really, like leave FMSA for a while, for 3 days, for example, and then in the fourth day you come back again as a new person, or like more refreshed than before. So I think yeah, there are a lot of mechanisms that actually happening in FMSA. Once you're in an official, you just got to learn it all. I mean, like you learn it all automatically, but that's from me for that kind of question.
Thanks, Farhan. Omar, Pablo, do you want to add any comments?
All right. Well, for my side, I didn't take a gap year. I took it the year before, but for me, it was my last year. I just had internships to do, and just very, very few exams. Um, but it was very, very flexible, and I could attend meetings whenever I wanted without having any troubles from my hospital, because it was just I was doing my rotation, like my clinical year, in a kind of regional hospital. So it was very flexible. I didn't have any troubles, so that's why it was fine for me to actually do it. But so it depends. My personal opinion is that if you have like a full year with exams and your university is not flexible, and yeah, and if you also have your internships and stuff, I really, really think it is difficult to manage all of it. I really think Scopy director position really has a lot of work to do. And of course, like if you really want to do the best, if you really want to do great, and if you want to take the best out of it, I really think it's very hard to manage it with your studies.
All right, thanks. Paulo?
Well, also I didn't take a gap year. When I was a Scopy D, I was doing my internships, and part of them I took them in Sweden, which gave me some flexibility, and that I think that's the important part. So Mar said maybe your school is not that flexible if you cannot skip some days or things like that. It might be hard, but you have to have time. You have to be organized. That's the main point. And of course, you need to have the flexibility with your university to tell them that you might skip 1 or 2 days off because you have to go somewhere else. But you can do it while you're working. But the most important thing is that you have to have a good communication with the university and your tutors and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, thank you very much. I believe that we're pretty much done with all the conversation, all the chatting, all the questions that our people had. So I would like to thank you guys for the attendance. And for last thing, I'm gonna ask like 2 questions. One, because my regional assistant for my international team, they asked me to ask. And the second one is about the vision for the future. Okay, the first one is, what do you thought about the exchanges week? Do you like the idea? Do you yeah? What do you thought about the exchanges week? And the second one is, what is your vision for Scopy in the future? Okay, so yeah, just a last round. How much? How do you want to start? Maybe Pablo, you can start first. The vision for Scopy in the future.
So first, the first question was if I like the exchanges. That's the first question, right?
This week.
The exchanges week. I think it's good because it gives you visibility for the program, and this can come along with the next question, because I think what you should be aiming for is to increase the program, have more exchange students doing the exchanges, because I think it helps, even though a month is short, somehow it helps people to have a broadened vision to see patients outside of where they're working. And I think that helps a lot when you're a physician to have some you have to have an intercultural environment, and it helps you to give more empathy when you work with your patients. So I think what you should be aiming for is to increase the number of exchanges, and also something that has been going around in the exchange program for a while is to increase the quality. So it's hard because you need to create standards for more than 100 countries, but you should be aiming for those 2 things, I think.
Thank you, Pablo. Maybe you can follow with Farhan.
Okay. Thank you. Is it Omar or me first?
You. I
Okay.
wanted the chronological order.
Okay. What do I think about the Exchange Week? I think this kind of event is really positive, and I really appreciate that you guys, making this kind of webinar, or probably in the future there will be an Exchange Week, not just like online meeting, but also like offline meeting. And who knows, it could be, it could be like right now it's really good, and it could be like improve with another creative ideas or another kind of innovations in the Exchange Week itself. So I think I would really like to applaud for you and also for your international team for this kind of initiative. And the second one, like, what is my vision for Skopje in the future? I think it's also kind of the same like Pablo has answered before. Like, my vision is really for Skopje to have a sustainable system for all the countries, for all the NEOs, and for all the exchanges. And also like I'm learning like by my own experience here, even though I'm not the one that I'm not the one that directly managing all the exchanges, because I'm not in Skopje anymore in my local, but I'm still like supervising the works of my Leos, and sometimes they share things with me, and I'm still seeing like some kind of gaps in like in local level that probably we as Skopje directors or like as international teams don't really see it. So to have a sustainable system for all the countries, like standards or formats, it's going to be really, really good for Skopje in the future, and for all the countries to actually, for all the medical students in the world to have this experience, not just in the big, like probably like developed countries, but also all the developing countries as well. And I really like, for example, just sharing experiences that for the Skopje sessions that we have in the GA, to have like more outcomes in the future, that what kind of things that we have, and of course like also the more sustainable database. But I know that it's not going to happen in one night, and I think we're really working hard. It's in each term to make some improvement and new ideas, and that's what we have to keep doing until, I don't know, like many futures, but we have to still keep doing it. But yeah, thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you, Farhan. Now, Omar.
All right. So for my side, yeah, I think I forgot the question. The first one. All right, about Exchanges Week. Sorry. No, I would really love to upload this. I'm very jealous that we haven't been doing this in the past years, and I would really love to congratulate you. Like everywhere, like in my Facebook news feed, it was filled of people talking about the Exchanges Week. You could see it, and you could see also that it has had a huge impact. And then all the NEOs from all around the world sharing, like promoting their own exchange program, and then all the videos from all around the world, from like NEOs from all the regions. This was really cool. We have been in the past 2 years as Skopje, I was, well, together with my Skopje international team, we were trying to see what would be the best way to actually engage NEOs to promote the exchange program even better. We were thinking of having some videos or whatever that actually just never really worked out. And we never really knew how to actually do it properly and how to succeed. And now I'm really jealous that like you guys have managed finally to do that. So I have to congratulate you. This is really amazing what you have done, because we have been trying to do it for many years. And I remember also in Farhan's term, Anthony, the region assistant from EMR, he made the video, and like the plan was also to make it like for all regions, but like even that video was not really shared a lot. So really that that was really a great idea, and it allows you to promote the exchange program even further. So, and it also is a great collaboration that you're doing and putting forward together with Scori. So really, thumbs up, guys. As to when it comes to my vision, I think my vision is very well reproduced in the strategy 1619 already, but my vision for the future is to just give this opportunity to as many medical students as possible, and also like students from countries where IFMC is not present. There are like many medical students who would like to take that opportunity but actually do not have spots or do not have the opportunity. And my dream for Skopje is to just give that opportunity to every single medical student in the world. So that's like kind of my long-term vision. We're already moving forward, and we're already doing quite a lot of great stuff. So congratulations again. But I hope we would be able to in the future. Again, thank you very much, Rodrigo, for the invitation, and thank you for your international team and for everyone for putting forward this project. It was really a great pleasure to meet again with 4 Skopje directors, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much for you all. The pleasure was all mine to have you all and to talk with since 2010 until 2016, 17. And it was very exciting. It was the first time that it was actually done, like publicly. So I really hope that we can continue this collaboration, because it is already in the strategy, as you mentioned, to have the highest quality exchange program, to be as accessible and affordable for all medical students, to have the sustainability of our exchange program. And within sustainability, it is very important to mention the collaboration with our alumni, with our students that are going, and as much as collaboration that we can have until like for ourselves, it's very good for Skopje, for IFMSA. So yeah, that's the message I leave, and thank you very much for attending, and bye-bye.
Bye.